Shabbat Shalom. In the filmmaking world, every film project begins with a screenplay. It's the foundation for the entire film. The words have to stir the reader's imagination. An agent once told me that it's easier to sell a screenplay than it is to sell a film, because when a reader reads the script, the reader imagines the best version of the movie. Perfect sets, breathtaking special effects. If the reader prefers a specific actor, then he or she imagines that specific actor reading the lines. So the movie, according to this particular agent, is always a letdown from the screenplay, because to realize the vision on screen, choices have to be made, and those choices limit the possibility of the story. The film reveals the selected sets, the flawed special effects, and talented, but not necessarily your favorite actors who were selected for the roles. Why am I explaining all of this to you? This week, we transition into the fifth and final book of the Torah, the book of Deuteronomy, Sefer Devarim. And as we do, we meet Moses, our teacher, at the end of his life. Over the course of the next couple of months, we will hear the retelling of events from the books of Exodus and Numbers with a slightly different gloss. We hear it now from an older, more reflective perspective. If I read the young Moses as Charlton Heston, thanks to Cecil B. DeMille's casting choice for the 1956 film The Ten Commandments, then I begin to read this Deuteronomy Moses, this older Moses, as Walter Matthau from Grumpy Old Men. The Torah shows us that Moses' very nature has changed. The youthful Moses, who said meekly to God in the book of Exodus, Bi Adonai lo ish dvarim anochi. Please, my Lord, I am not a man of words. This young man grows into the type of profound leader who speaks this last book, Devarim, meaning words. This book of Devarim opens with a statement that reveals Moses' personal growth. Ele hadvarim asher diber Moshe el kol Yisrael. These are the words that Moses spoke before all of Israel. Rashi tells us that these are the words should be read as these are the words of rebuke. And so I come to a stern and reflective, grumpy yet eloquent Walter Matthau. If you prefer, Dustin Hoffman. Moses is not a brief sketch at which we glimpse. The portrait of Moses in the Torah is more profound than the Mona Lisa. We study it each and every week. We're never allowed to look away. And yet, I don't hear many people casting the role of Moses in their minds. Perhaps it's because we feel uncomfortable casting somebody who's not Jewish, like Brad Pitt. Or perhaps it's because we feel uncomfortable casting somebody not serious, like Billy Crystal. But I'd like to suggest that casting Moses in our minds, even if that casting process changes and yields a different vision on a regular basis, I believe that process makes Moses and his teachings resonate on a more personal level. Moses is a complicated human figure, glorious and strong and talented and flawed. We have to remember Moses in his totality. The casting process forces me to remember the Charlton Heston Moses, even as Walter Matthau stands before me. All of us transform as we grow older. And our different choices for Moses reflect all of our unique perspectives. And like all of us here today in the sanctuary, nobody wants to be remembered, wants to be judged on one episode in their life alone. It's unfair. If a person only sees a video of our proudest moment, it creates an unfair expectation. And if a person watches a video of our most shameful moment, it's also unfair to us. Nobody, certainly none of us, are solely defined by a singular moment in our lives. We're bigger than that because we're all multifaceted people. Like Moses, our teacher, Moshe Rabbeinu, we're people with personalities and hopes and dreams and disappointments. It was Abraham's journey that drove me toward rabbinical school. And since being ordained, it's been Moses' life and meaning that has fascinated me. Over the last several years, I continue to consider Moses younger and younger. And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm getting older and older. And so Moses continues to speak to me in a more personal, more understandable way. And as the single greatest piece of literature, I believe, the Torah lends itself to come alive in this exact way. Our ritual demands that we read the Torah at least each and every week in community, if we're not fortunate enough to have time to study it each and every day during our personal time. We aspire to absorb the words and internalize the messages and the morality. Because the ultimate step in the casting process of reading the Torah is not deciding whether Moses should be represented by Charlton Heston or Walter Matthau, or both. The ultimate step in internalizing the message is seeing yourself in the Torah, feeling the Torah running through you. Can we aspire to ever see ourselves as Abraham, as Sarah, as Moses, as Miriam? I'd like to believe that in the moment today when Moses speaks these words to all of Israel, he had all of us sitting in the sanctuary in mind. And he hoped that in the moment that we'd read his words, we would have him in mind as well. Thank goodness that Moses continued to grow, better himself, speak the words that continue to be recited and spoken from generation to generation. May we continue to imagine him close and personal as part of all of our large, extended Jewish family. And let us say, Amen.